This ordinary-looking drawing made by a 6-year-old doesn't appear to have anything that would be any kind of cause for alarm. On the surface, it just looks like a young kid playing in the front of their house. There's tons of smaller details in the drawing, such as his dad raking the leaves, his mom at the window, and a few cars in the street passing by. It all seems like an innocent drawing, but there's a bit of an unsettling backstory behind this. The 6-year-old boy who drew this is a very well-behaved and quiet kid according to his parents. I'll refer to him as Jake. He stays to himself most of the time, and his teachers describe him as a well-behaved child, just very, very quiet. He has a passion for drawing, and constantly draws pictures and writes little story picture books. Jake has one sibling who's currently 2 years old, who he has included in multiple pictures too. His mother says most of Jake's free time he spends either watching Cartoon Network or YouTube videos or drawing. There was no cause for alarm when his parents found this first picture. However, there was when they found a more recent picture that Jake had drawn. Here's another picture of Jake in front of the house, but maybe you've already spotted it. In this picture, there's an identical car in the street with the same person sitting inside. This time, it seems Jake is looking at the car in this picture waving. Jake's parents are not seen in this one, interestingly, but his parents were intrigued now about the car and who the person inside of it was supposed to be. So they questioned him. Jake explained that it was a car he'd always see out front and that the man sitting inside of it would always smile and wave whenever he saw him. So the next day, Jake's parents took him outside to point out the car, but he said the car wasn't there. In fact, it wasn't for the next few days, until finally, one day while Jake was playing outside, he came running inside to his parents to say he saw the car again and the man was inside again. Jake's parents rushed outside to the front to look and saw the car speeding away past the house down the block. It was an old silver Buick, and Jake confirmed that was the car. It was none of the neighbors' cars, that much was known. Jake's parents went to all the neighbors and asked if they'd seen that car sitting in the street at all, to which all of them replied they had not, but that they'd keep a lookout. For a few days, Jake wasn't allowed to play outside unless his parents were there with him. But after the car didn't seem to return, Jake was once again allowed to play freely out front. But one day, he came inside and said that the man in the car was back and was trying to get him into his car. Of course, Jake's father ran outside as fast as he could, hoping to get to the car in time, but he saw it already down the block by the time he was outside. He tried chasing the car down in his car, but by the time he even got into his car, there was no way of tracking where the car went. Once again, Jake wasn't allowed outside of the house. The car wasn't seen outside at all for almost that entire week, until one night, unexpectedly, Jake's father was about to take the garbage out when he noticed the car parked across the street. He took out his phone to begin recording and hopefully get the license plate number, and he tried to slowly get closer to the car without being obvious. But the driver clearly saw him, because the car turned on, then quickly drove away. Jake's father tried to follow the car and get the plate number, but he couldn't. This was the last time the car was ever seen. The car had clearly been parked outside multiple times watching the house, even past dark at later hours in the night. The driver of the car, according to Jake, would always smile and wave at him anytime they'd make eye contact with each other. And the last time Jake saw the car, the man inside started waving for him to come over, and even called out for him. Luckily, Jake was smart enough to go inside and tell his parents. It's not clear why the car would be outside even at night, considering the boy leaving the house alone at those hours would be extremely unlikely. Jake's parents brought the video to the police, but without a clear plate number, not much could be done. Jake's father went door to door asking each house on the block if they had cameras that caught the plate number, but he didn't have any good luck. The car never returned after this, but this happened relatively recently in November of 2021, so there's always a possibility that the man may return.